Okay, I'm gonna just continue to admit people in this waiting room situation is kind of weird, but we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll record it for any of you guys who want to share it with your teams later. But I don't want to take up any more of his time, so let's go ahead and get going. If you guys were on our first vision board, well, we've had part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 was awesome, where we kind of burned our limiting beliefs, talked through all of those things, started to make our vision more clear in part 2. And in part 3, I really just wanted to bring on someone who I feel inspired by every time I listen to him. I don't know if you guys have ever heard Kim Carver speak at Summit or Leadership or any of those events, but he just is so good every time. So I said, can you pretty please come join us and give us your end of the year motivation and basically talk us through, like, what should that look like? What should we be focused on right now? And how can we start 2021 strong? Because everybody knows 2020 has been a year. So without any further ado, I want to bring on Kim and let him go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for
Hey, it's my pleasure, Nikki. Thank you for inviting me and letting me jump on with everybody tonight. I do sincerely appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys. It sounds like you guys have had a really cool group. Nikki was telling me a little bit about it, and I think it's very appropriate and timely for the time of year that we're at right now. And my goal, I think, in coming on tonight is pretty simple for me, at least, and that's just to try to build on where you guys have been going with this, and maybe share with you some context and some insights to help you do that based on my own experience. And I'm going to confess something to you. So right before this call, my son had a basketball game, and I've been kind of chewing through my mind all day. Well, what should I say between meetings and stuff? And I was at my son's game, and I started to get some ideas of things that I wanted to share. And so I started writing them down, like literally right before I came here. So this is bleeding edge, unrefined thinking on my part, which could be dangerous. But I'm hoping that at some point at least I'll be able to convey some feelings that I've got here. One of the things that I want to start out just at the very beginning expressing to you, and I was thinking about this today, was just how grateful we are for what you do and for our partnership together. And I don't know if corporate does a good enough job sometimes in sharing that. I think we get a lot of excitement and energy around launches and things that are coming and all of that. And if we're not careful, sometimes I'm afraid that we can send the wrong message to our coaches, which is that we just take for granted the work and the effort that you do every single day, and that you do with your teams every single day. And we don't take that for granted. We are grateful for you guys and for everything that you do. And especially coming into this time of year, Carl was sharing the other day that we're ending this time of year when 60 plus million people are making decisions within the next 90 days, or actually 60 days at this point, around what they're going to be doing at the beginning of the year. And I've really appreciated that insight, that thinking, because I do know, we've come off some, it's been a crazy year. We don't need to rehash that, right? In fact, I think one of the challenges for all of us going into 2021 is going to be able to put down some of the things that we've encumbered ourselves with in 2020 when it's time to do so. And I know a lot of you probably are like, well, I can't wait to do that, right? But I think that if we're honest with ourselves, there's also going to be some things that some standards we're going to continue to have to hold ourselves to. Let me just say it that way. And my challenge to all of you tonight is to push yourselves a little bit here. Look, you've had a great experience here talking about, creating a vision for yourself next year and going after that. And I think that it's important for you to hear and important for you to believe, I think at this point, that it is that you're more than, let me say it this way. I was talking to a coach yesterday. I'll just be blunt with this. I was talking to a coach yesterday who was kind of going through some frustrating times. And the thing that just kept hitting me over and over again is that she's selling herself short. Um, Through the course of this year and all the things that we've all had to kind of deal with, one of the things that have happened is she became very self-critical. She became very, very reactive instead of proactive, and that had now bled into a lot of her thinking and what that she was doing, and she was selling herself short on really what she did have the ability to control and change, and really what was within her power to be able to actually bring about for herself. She was selling herself short, and she was selling her opportunity as a coach short. And one of the things that I want to push you on tonight, if I can, is to not sell yourself short. You're going to walk into 2021 with a lot of things. The craziness of this year, it's not like it just ends on December 31st, but at this point, it's a known craziness by and large. There's some things that are there, but we kind of understand it, right? And hopefully, before too long in the next year, things will start to resolve themselves, blah, blah, blah. But even if they don't, even if they didn't, how can you still achieve next year? How can you still achieve with the unknowns and the things that are going to happen to you? So this is one of the things, and I'll share this visual with you because I want to build a couple thoughts around this, and they're probably a little cheesy thoughts, but I find sometimes the cheesy thoughts are the ones that get remembered because they're cheesy. So I'm willing to sacrifice some of my dignity to make it cheesy if it'll help you remember it. The one of the things when I first got married, my wife is from California, and I remember soon after we got married, I started to realize that I was going to be driving from Utah to California quite a bit. And it's not like it's that far a drive, but it's 650 miles, right? It's 10 hours worth of driving. And this is back in the day when we were still in college and we had those little 4-cylinder stick shift cars. This is going to really date me. Okay. But there wasn't like GPS on your phones, they didn't have smartphones. Some of you might remember when you had like the Nokia phone and the game on it was Snake and things like that. Like that kind of era was when I was talking here, right? And so whenever we had to make this drive to California, in my mind, there was this big space, right? Here I am, and I've got to get all the way over there. And I would think about this, and I would prepare, ahead of time. I want to make sure I've got my snacks, and I want to make sure I've got the car checked. I want to make sure that I've got, I know where I'm going to stop for drinks. I know where we're going to do this, and kind of have this plan, because in my mind, it was this big journey, especially the first couple times that I took it. And inevitably, it would always happen around the holidays, right? We'd have to factor in snow and all these other things that were coming. And our drives down there, they were always a little adventure. Flat tires happened a couple times, right? We had one time when we had an engine issue. Times when you run into traffic. I remember we were going down one time, and just outside of Vegas on our way there had been this fatality accident. We were actually stuck on the road for 6 hours and we couldn't go anywhere. And these things that happen when you do these types of road trips, and how good it felt when we finally got to that destination. And I was thinking about that a little bit, because my wife and I have been talking about how we used to make that trip quite a bit when we were younger. And I thought, in a lot of ways, when we start a brand new year, it's kind of like that kind of a trip. Here we are in the beginning. We know whether we like it or not, the end of 2021 is going to happen. It's going to come, right? Literally, 13 months from now, we will be 12 months from now, we'll be at the beginning of December 2021 talking about 2022. And we will have the opportunity to say, okay, during this journey, surely there's going to be flat tires. Surely there's going to be engine problems. There might even be a big, traffic jam or things that we've had to deal with along the way. But regardless, we're still going to end up at the end of next year, looking back at this year, much like we are right now. And we're going to take an assessment on how the year went. We're going to take an assessment on what happened. And for sure, and I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know but there's going to be a lot of things outside of our control that that are going to impact that. This year, one thing that happened to all of us collectively in a very significant way was a pandemic, obviously, but there'll be other things outside of our control. Okay. And I'm saying all that for a reason, because in my life, my experience has been that there's always reasons why you couldn't achieve. There's always reasons why you can't do something. I work with my kids on this all the time. And when we used to work with coaches one-on-one all the time, I would be like, there's going to be excuses. There's going to be reasons, and they're going to be good reasons. And they're going to be things where you're going to be able to tell other people, and they're going to have a really, really, really hard time walking you away from those excuses. But that's why ultimately then that you have to be the one that owns that. You've got to be the one that owns and is responsible for your own achievement, for the goals that you set, for the kind of life that you want to live. It's not about the perfection in that, it's about the progress in that and making those pieces. Okay, so I think I've made that point. So that's a really high level discussion. What I'd like to do is walk you through something that I use, and something that I used to use when I'd work with coaches. But it's something that as I get into this time of year, I look at to help me achieve. I believe that it is one of our divinely endowed gifts to have control over our life, to be able to make choices, to be able to set direction, to be able to act for ourselves, to be able to chart the course of our life. But it's in our hands to do that. You guys have just gone through vision boards, right? You've talked about that. And that's a key part. Building that vision, setting down those excuses, doing all the things that trip you up along the way. Okay. In my experience, that's, and I'm guessing part of that exercise, it's uncovered some other, but for me, that's one key ingredient. There really are three things that I walk through. And I'm going to ask you just to write these three things down as I talk about them. And just write notes to yourself. Not as much about what I'm saying. She's got the recording for this. You can watch that later if you want to. And I don't know if I'll say anything worth writing down anyway, but what the most important thing will happen will be anything that comes to your mind that goes, okay, that's it. Because right now, in the moment where you're unencumbered by maybe some of the things that are waiting for you, okay, you can start to make some commitments to yourself. Commitments that will propel you in a stronger direction, because I believe strongly in what we're doing next year, especially as a company. The opportunity is humongous for our coaches right now, probably as big as it's ever been since I've been here. All right. From demand in the marketplace, from timing in the marketplace, we couldn't be in a better spot, to the programs that we have launching, starting with 9-Week Control Freak, Sean's program that's coming, and then other launches that are coming that you guys don't know about yet in terms of consumables and other pieces that are happening. Some cool tools and things that are coming your way that you're going to see around Team Cup time. And there's just a lot of really, really cool things that are going to be happening for Team Beachbody coaches this year. Okay. And it's hard. Sometimes we want to tell you all these things, but we don't want people getting distracted, right? We want to just keep our head down in what we're doing. But trust me when I tell you that 2021 has the opportunity, every opportunity, to be the very best year possible for your business. You can achieve great things in 2021, okay? But it's going to take these three things, okay, that I'm going to recommend. The first one, and again, these are not like these complicated pieces. In fact, sometimes when I share this, people kind of get a little disappointed because they're like, well, that's pretty common sense. My experience has been common sense isn't often common practice. And so my goal here tonight isn't to reveal something new to you. It's probably just to remind you of what you know and then get you to act on that. So the first one is purpose. Now I'm going to equate this to making this journey from where I'm at now to where I want to be, crossing this distance like I did with my car to California, you crossing this year, right? Your purpose is like your fuel, okay? The purpose is the fuel. So I want you to write that down, purpose, and then just put my fuel, okay? And I know we talk a lot about purpose, and I'm sure you talked a lot about it this week, but I want to break it down into two parts, okay? I want to break it down into means and matters. And let me explain what I mean by that, okay? Because to me, this is a key distinction that helps me at least whenever I'm trying to say, well, purpose, that's kind of a big word. I think I have a purpose. I want to be a good person. I want to leave a legacy. I want to do these things, right? But let's see if we can get something to wrap our heads around a little bit more about what this is, this fuel that I have to carry me this distance this year, okay? We all know that, well, one of the things that's been my experience is that people only do things consistently that are important to them, right? What you're doing as a coach, it has to mean something to you, okay? What you're trying to do with your business, it has to mean something to you. The more it means to you, the greater lengths you'll go to get it. Now, I know you all have experiences in your life when you have done that, okay? Right now, people wake up every day going to jobs they hate, right? Because it means something to be able to, for them to be able to provide, to be able to do those important things in their life, okay? Now, while it has to mean something to you, okay, it also has to matter to your life, okay? Because if it matters to your life, that's where you'll be more willing to take the appropriate measures, the steps, and the sacrifices that it takes. So think about it this way. Under means, I want you to write emotional, okay? Emotional connections. Why does it mean something to me? What's those emotional things that when I look at my business, when I look at what I'm doing, and I say, well, this means something to me, or what are those emotional pieces? Is it improving yourself as an individual? Is it being, creating greater stability in your home? Is it, I don't know what it is, but it's got to mean something to you. That's that emotional part of that. And then it also has to matter in your life. And I know sometimes those words can be used interchangeably, but right now I'm going to use them differently. It has to matter in your life. And matter, I want you to think about that from an external prioritization. There's a lot of things that are always going to be coming at you. And you're going to have to be able to prioritize, because if you don't understand the priorities in your life, what ends up happening is everything, the loudest thing, the squeakiest wheel, the most inconvenient, whatever it happens to be, is going to be the top priority to you. And all of a sudden, you're letting external things dictate to you what your priorities are. You won't mean to do that, but then you'll look back at where you spent your time, your energy, your thinking, your resources, and you'll go, man, I'm spending my time on on priorities that aren't near the top of my list. You have got to own those priorities. And so why does it matter to you? Okay. The more it matters to you, the more you're willing to sacrifice. So under means and matters in this section, I just want you to say, why does it mean something to me? What are those emotional things that what I'm trying to do are so important to me? And then matters. I want you to list the prioritization. Okay. It might be behind family, might be behind some other things, but where is that? So that when all these things start to come at you, you're clear. And I would put that means and matters where you could see it, because when the means and the matters combined is purpose. Means and matters combined is purpose. When something means something to you and it matters to you, that's when that purpose really comes into focus. That's when it becomes less of just kind of a fun word, and I think I know what it means, to when you can say, no, I have a purpose behind my business. I know what it means to me, and I know why it matters, okay, to me, all right? And so this is the fuel. And you've got to have that fuel somewhere. It's not, think about when I'm driving in my car, right? It's not like they put the gas gauge in the back, in the trunk. They put it front and center. I see that every single time I'm driving. And you know what? When that gauge starts to get a little low, I know I need to do something to put fuel back in my car. When you put your purpose, when you put that means and matters where you can see it, and every day you're kind of touching base with that. Does it still matter to me? Is it still relevant to me? Is it something that still strikes home with me? And if it is, then your gas tank is full. It's right there, right? And some days, maybe when the emotional energy is a little waning, it reminds you why it matters, okay? Why it means something to you, and it fills that gas tank back up. And if you need to adjust it so it's able to refill you again, then you can adjust it. But you got to make that thing present. Make that purpose present. All right. So the first thing that I look at when I'm looking to achieve something, if I'm going this next year, is, okay, so I want a purpose. What are the means and what are the matters? Okay. What does that look like to me? So I'm clear on those priorities and I'm clear on that emotional connection. I can articulate it. I know what it looks like, and I can put it right where I can see it. So my gauge is there always. The second thing is one when it comes to achievement. So the first thing is making sure I've got my purpose ready. The second thing is the vision. Now, that's perfect because that's what you guys have been doing, right? Is a vision. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more, some things about the vision. For me, the vision is kind of like the map, right? Me getting to California before there were, GPS on your phone or things like that. Like I had to use maps. I had to understand how to get to where I wanted to go. The map allowed me to visualize or see the direction or where I was trying to get to, right? That's what a vision is for you. As you're going through this year, knowing what that is, of having that in your mind is so important. One of the things I always remember when I talk about vision is what Stephen Covey wrote in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said, everything is created twice. The first time it's created is in your mind. And then the second time it's created is when it's in reality. Nothing is ever created physically or in reality, in our own experience, until it's been created in our mind first. And that's so important because what that means is for a lot of you, the vision that you have for yourself that you put together in a vision board or something to remind you of what you're trying to do, that right now, it's so fragile because you can kill it at any time with just a decision to walk away from it. The potential of what that could have been, what that could unlock in your life, what that could bring to you by following that, you're the one right now that holds that reality in your hands. And it might take work as you're going through this journey to create that for yourself, but that vision is so important. You are the one that's responsible for the vision that you keep for your life. And this is not a typical way that most people live. There's a reason why your leaders and everyone got together on this call to do this type of an activity with you, because most people don't think like this. They wake up and they just kind of react to the stuff that life throws at them, especially right now, right? They just wake up and whatever happens, they kind of have a vague idea of what they need to do today, but it's almost they become trapped by the day-to-day demands of their life. And if you're not careful, you end up like a lot of people where that just becomes habit. And when that becomes habit, you find people doing things all the time to try to escape from that type of an approach to life. And I won't get into the details around that, but you can see those kind of people. You can see those people and they don't know how to get out of it. And the reason why they feel that way is because they've given up control of owning their life and the direction of their life to other things external to them. So what that means is the very, very simple thing to change that is to start thinking differently, okay? To make the decision, okay, you know what? I am going to start acting, believing, thinking, and feeling that the greatest determinant of the outcomes in my life are the choices that I make. I'm going to choose to chart the course that I want my life to be. And then I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to act as if I have control over that. I'm going to make decisions. I'm going to think differently. And life's going to throw stuff at me and I might have to deal with it. But I'm not going to ever let me take it off center for long. I'm going to come back to this and I'm going to learn to live according to this purpose that I've got for myself with my business, according to the vision that I've got for the things that I want to achieve. And it's really, really hard sometimes to explain that. But I know some of you listening understand what that feels like. You understand what it's like to wake up with that kind of a vision, that kind of a direction where you know that I am persistently and relentlessly moving in that direction. And life might throw curveballs at me and stuff that's going to take me a little, but and even if it's never really a straight line, right? It's kind of more of this meandering path that gets there, but directionally, I'm going this way. I was trying to give this example to my kids. The other day we went bowling, and my oldest son has special needs. And so whenever he bowls, he has the bumpers, right? And for some reason, he really likes it when the ball hits the bumpers. And so whenever he bowls, it kind of bounces like 5 times across the bumpers until it hits the pins. And I said, you guys, so much of it, and my kids, they are so patient with their dad, because he goes like from dad to like Tony Robbins wannabe and like the drop of a hat. So I see this bowling ball meandering and I'm like, you guys got to understand, that's how greatness is achieved. I said, you have this direction and the things that you want to go do. And then you almost have to set up bumpers for yourself, good friends, values, standards, rules, purposes, things in your life that just kind of keep you going. And sometimes you're going straight, sometimes you're bumped, but at least you're going this way. And as long as you don't quit, you'll eventually get there. Okay. And so you can't let yourself, okay, the purpose of this vision is because we're not going, the vision keeps you going in that direction. It keeps you clear. It keeps yourself, it returns back to you power of ownership of your life. If you will embrace it, if it becomes more than just some fun activity you do, if it becomes more than just checking a box at the beginning of every year so you feel good because I've got some resolutions and some things I'm going to do, knowing inside that I'm going to walk away from those in a couple weeks, or the first time it gets hard, or the first time my commitment gets pushed on, I'm probably going to crumble. Like if you can stop doing that, if you can help people stop doing that and start owning their life, owning the vision they've set a vision, own your choices, get after that. Okay, you're going to start, and I'm getting all amped up here because this is something I really, really believe in. But I truly, truly believe that so much of what's untapped in you, in me, okay, in the people that you know, is because they do not own their life. They do not own it. Living with having this purpose clear, having a vision for the things that they want to be able to do. And the last one, okay, so the first one's purpose, the fuel. The second one is vision, the map. Right? And the third one in this is my actions. Okay, this is the engine. And I want you to think about this. Purpose is the fuel, vision is the map, and actions are my engine. You have to have all three of those. If I have purpose and an engine, so I've got fuel and an engine, but no direction, I'm just burning up. I'm just going everywhere, right? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm directionless. If I have purpose, a fuel, and a map, but I don't have an engine, I've got really good ideas. I've got big dreams. I've got big plans. I've got lip service all day long, but I'm never doing anything with it. Okay? And if I've got an engine and I've got a map, but no fuel, no vision, no purpose, okay? I can go. I know I want to go, but I don't really want to. You have to have all three of those. That's the reason why I break it up like this. That's why I tried to give you that analogy of driving a car across country this year, so you can think about that, right? My actions, okay? My actions. You know, one of the things here and there's so many things that you can talk on actions. And right now, I'm trying to be really sensitive because you're going to get a lot of talk about action, right? And you're going to get a lot of talk about, you know, sticking to New Year's resolutions and doing that. So let me walk you through a couple of the rules that I keep for myself that they might help you. And I've kind of written them down here. The first thing that I know is that my attitude towards action, I have to always make sure that my default is towards action and not towards just planning and thinking about it. Because sometimes I can feel like I'm doing stuff when I'm just kind of planning. It doesn't mean I'm reckless, but at some point I have to actually start doing things, not just trying to get a perfect plan in place for things. Okay. And so the default then is to do things. Now, the things that I kind of follow up to, I'm kind of reading them here because I want to make sure I stay on point. As you're going through this year, as you're looking to achieve, as you're going to hit these traffic jams and these things along the way, when you come up to some of these pieces, there's, and I want you to write this down on this piece of paper. I want you to write down, I can't, and then right below it, I won't. And on the other side, I want you to write, I can, and right below that, I will. Okay? So the first one is, one of the things that I try to remind myself, one of the things that you can obviously tell, is I believe in owning our actions. So when I come up on a situation, when I'm looking at this gap, this thing that's going to, all these goals that I want to achieve, right? Here I am now. Here's where I want to be. There's a lot of space in between that I've got to figure out how to do. The first thing I have to do is I have to address my passive responses. I can't, I can. Okay? Passive meaning they're not, they're just a decision. I can't do it. I can do something. Okay. And it might take its form in different pieces. I can't, or I don't want to, or excuse me, I can't, that kind of thing. Okay. I'm making that. And then the second one is the one right below it. I won't, and I will. These are more of my active decision makings. This is, I don't want to do this, or I do want to do this. Okay. And I have to own those two things. The thing I'm going to challenge you is you've got to live, you stay away, be aware of the passive ones. I can't, or I can. Those are dangerous because they create a sense of action necessarily without creating action. Okay, you can do a lot of things. You can go after your goals. You can be you can do, but that doesn't really create action. Instead, I want you to focus on those bottom ones. I won't or I will. And my challenge for you, okay, is to own those. I won't, I'm not going to do something, or I will. Don't get stuck in the middle. Look, you know, what does Warren Buffett say? List the 20 things you want to accomplish in your life, and then erase everything below the top 5, because those are just a distraction from the things that are most important to you, right? There's power in saying I won't do something, okay? What I want you to do is under the I will. I want you to pay attention when you're looking at your actions that I'm starting things with I will. I can, great, awesome, kudos, but I will. And there's something powerful in that statement, I will do this. I will do this. Instead of I can do it or I want to do it, I will do this. And I want you to own that, okay? The second thing is I want you to write this. I don't want to, comma, but, ... And then right under that, right? I do want to, comma, but, ... Okay? Now, as you're going through this year, as you're looking at things, you're going to come up on these kind of things. It's not necessarily I can't or I won't or I will, okay? Like I just mentioned, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be something where it's inevitable, the self-doubt that you mentioned in the beginning, or where I'm doing something new, and you know, maybe you're impatient with yourself and you're expecting perfection even though you haven't gotten the experience yet to actually merit perfection. You're still getting experience and getting good at it, right? The most important thing of those two statements is the ellipses, is the 3 dots after that. I don't want to do that, but I will, but I won't. I do want to do that. I do want to, but I can't, I won't, okay? Or I will, or I won't. And I want you to think about that, because my challenge to you is as you look at these things that are coming to you, how are you going to answer those dots? What's your answer going to be for those dots? Okay, I don't want to, but, and there's a lot of things that can be represented. I don't want to. Okay, I'm scared to, makes me nervous, it's new for me. Or I do want to do that, but, okay, as well. Now, when we come to actions, there are 5 things. Sorry, then I promise I'm done. I know I'm laying a lot on you guys, but it was kind of a long basketball game, so I had a lot of chance to write things down. Okay, so the 5 things that I just want you to check yourself on, okay, when it comes to actions. And I'm going to try to keep these fairly simple, but I'd encourage you to maybe write these down and keep them somewhere as a way to just kind of balance off yourself. These come directly from my personal rules for myself. The first one is one that if you've ever talked to me for more than 15 minutes in a business setting like this, you've heard me say this, and I'll say it again and again and again and again, because it goes right back to this ownership thing that we've talked about. And that is controlling the controllable, okay? When it comes to actions, stop wasting time, energy, and resources trying to control things that are not in your control. Because no matter how much time you spend at them, no matter how much time you go, you still can't control them. They're out of your control. In fact, that's what makes them hard. Because they're out of your control, the tendency of most people, okay, is to, the fact that they're out of your control just like can monopolize your mind. It can be so emotionally exhausting because you just, what's going to happen, the anxieties that get created and things, they can spin you up so much of this year. The anxieties and the things that have come about this year have been because of this very thing, okay? And at some point, we have to continue to develop the discipline enough to focus on first the things we can control. The things that get the very best of me when I'm at the most energized, the best thinking, all of that stuff are the things that I can control. So to be a little bit more specific on this, here's what I'm talking about. Let's take a goal, for instance, right? A goal you've got for yourself. Align to the vision that you've got, align to your purpose. This is a good goal that you want. In that goal, There are going to be actions that you can control and things that you can't control. You should be acutely aware of what those things are. The number of conversations I start in a day, the follow-ups, how I run my groups, okay? The number of social media engagements I do. These are all things on the Success Club system tracker, the daily, those are all things in your control. What things are in my control to help me get that goal? I've got to do those things and do them first, okay? The other things, it wouldn't hurt you to acknowledge those as well, okay? The things not in my control, list those things out so that you can recognize them. So that when you find yourself getting and wasting time there, you can say, well, I'm not going to go over here until I make sure all my controllable actions are done first. Control the controllable. When you're living a life on purpose, when you're living your vision, when you're owning that, when you're owning your life, as you embrace the things that you can control, you will quickly discover that that's the way you influence best the things that you don't control. And it brings an amazing peace of mind, and it brings an amazing sense of confidence and an amazing sense of I guess, optimism to your life, okay? That radiates, and other people will notice, and they'll ask you about it. This one simple thing, I am such a big believer in this, okay? So the first one, control the controllable with your actions. The second one, your actions, is to be accountable, okay? You've got to be accountable. Be accountable to yourself first, but then be accountable to somebody else as well. A success partner, an upline, a spouse, somebody who can help you do this. Just because we talk about these journeys, and sometimes I think we picture the solitary thing that we're doing on our own, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Look at this call, look at this group, look at your upline. There are people surrounding you that are all walking a similar journey. So link arms, support each other. One of the best ways to do that is to hold each other accountable. Okay? Accountability isn't just to do when it's fun, right? Accountability is when it's hard. Accountability is when you need someone to help you keep going down that path. When you're on the bumper bowls and maybe you're in your point where you're going sideways into a bumper, right? You need someone there to kind of pick you back up again and keep you going down that lane. So be accountable. Be accountable to yourself first, but also to somebody else as well. That will help you turn all those good intentions into consistent habits. Into consistent actions that become persistent habits. And those habits develop character. Those habits are really a key component of consistency that develop the success in your life. Okay, third one, I promise I'll shut up. I'm almost done, Nikki, is to find solutions. It is really, really easy right now to not be solution oriented. When it comes to taking actions, you are going to find things that are less than ideal. Issues are going to happen. Stuff's going to come up. Crap's going to go wrong. You've got to find solutions. The whole crowd around you is going to comfortable sitting back, casting blame, figuring out why they can't do this, justifying this, rationalizing that, doing all that stuff. You can't be one of those people. You have to find solutions. Why? Because you own your life, and stuff happens to everybody. Okay? So what are you going to do to find a solution to it? Are you going to let that thing kick you off the track? Or are you going to figure out a way to get around it? Find solutions. Okay? Find solutions. And this fourth point is related to that. As you're finding solutions, the fourth point is to see opportunities. See them. I can promise you right now, there are opportunities all around you. You're surrounded by them. Okay? Specifically in the business. Leveraging for 9-week control freak, the launches that are coming, there's opportunity everywhere. Are you leveraging that? Okay. You have everything you need with you in your life right now to reach the goals that you need to get to. Are we finding those opportunities? Are we seeking out opportunities? Are we looking for opportunities? I can promise you that as you're looking for solutions, right with it, opportunities will present themselves. So when problems happen, okay, find solutions, but what are the opportunities that represent that? What's the way to do that? You know, when you see this all the time in business, and I won't get on a tangent here, but you see all the time examples of people who come in and there's issues, and that people find opportunities in those challenges, right? That go on to create amazing things. So don't just let a challenge or headwind or something like that knock you down. It doesn't have to, okay? It doesn't have to. Okay, find solutions and find opportunities. And then the last one is, and this is kind of a tricky one, okay, but this is an important one, at least for me, is commit to specific sacrifices. Now, what I mean by that is as you go into the year, I'm not going to sit here and say, you got to sacrifice everything. No, you don't. Okay. You really don't. But there are sacrifices you're going to have to make. It might be getting up earlier, watching a little less television. It might, I don't know what it is. These are the ones that always get thrown around, right? But there are sacrifices that might have to be made. Okay. Now, and this, one of the things I always remember about sacrifice is the sacrifice is the giving up of something good for something better. And when you're giving up something good for something better that's attained to a purpose, now those sacrifices have meaning. It's not just empty suffering. There's a purpose behind it. Does it make it any easier? Maybe a little bit, but it's still not fun, right? But it just has to happen. When you make a commitment to those things, then you take it off the table of debating whether you should do it or not. Of like every day, if you have to make the same decision every day on the same sacrifice you're going to make, that's exhausting. Okay. I mean, those of you that get up early to work out, right? Chances are, if you're like me, I'm not really a morning person, but the only time I can consistently get a workout in is in the morning. Okay. It's something I was actually telling my kids a few months ago about this. I don't like getting up early to go exercise and get a workout in. I don't. I would rather sleep in. I'm not, I'm like everybody else, right? But here's the deal. I made a decision that that's a sacrifice I'm going to make for my own health, for my own mental health, physical health, and everything else that I want in my life. And so I don't wake up every morning going, oh, do I want to get up this morning to be able to do this? No, I don't let myself do that. The night before, I set on my clothes because I'm half dead, brain dead in the morning when I wake up. And so when my alarm goes off, I just get out of bed. I don't sit there and lounge and go, oh my gosh, no, I just do it. I get up and I just do it. I don't make myself make that same agony. So commit to specific sacrifices that you know you need to make, and then don't keep having to drag yourself through that process over and over and over again. Just stick with it. It'll soon become habitual for you. It may not ever be easier, but it'll be certainly a lot less emotionally draining if you don't have to try to make that same, emotional exertion every single time. And when you do that, now you've got a plan. You've got some things that you can act against. You guys, as you look at this year, as you're kind of approaching this, really, it's so important right now, okay? Finishing this year strong. We've got a month left, especially in our business, especially right now. I'm not saying, hear me out, I've got 4 kids, we're going to do great. We're going to do awesome holiday stuff. I hope all of you guys live a balanced and appropriate life, but at the same time, those things to me are never mutually exclusive. You can continue to go after your goals. You can continue to live a disciplined, purposeful vision life, continue to do the actions you've got to do, especially if you're disciplined in controlling the controllable, and live with all the priorities being taken care of. You can't miss out on this fourth quarter. This isn't something where after this, these 3-part vision training, you go, okay, great, January, I'm going to hit it. If you do that between now and then, you are just going to go, your intentions are going to melt away. You're going to have all your notes that you've taken, and later on this year, you'll look at them and you go, man, I remember when those meant something to me. I don't remember now why. You've got to start now. Leverage 9-week control freak. Plan on Team Cup in February, what you're going to be doing with that. Do those things right now that you can do. Make plans for yourself so that you can live the life you want to live, but also at the same time still achieve those goals that you want for your business and for yourself. All right? It does start right now. Commit to that plan. Make that happen. And I know you're going to do great things, okay? Don't sell yourself short. That's why I started this beginning of this call with. Don't sell yourself short. You're capable and you're able of incredible things, okay? But it's going to require you now to maybe do some things different, and I'm confident that you can. I appreciate the time to be here, and I hope some of this was helpful. I know it was good for me. It's kind of a cathartic moment. I don't get to talk to coaches much anymore. So when I do, you guys get like this pent up energy that I've had for like 3 months inside of me, and it just verbally vomited all over you for 40 minutes. But
no, I think that's why I love you. I think because you always I don't know, I just feel pumped up. I have 2 pages of notes. I was like pulling out more notepads to write down more things. But one of the things that I always tell my team is, we have this group of people working towards Premier or Lead or whatever the end of the year, 4th quarter goals are. And I always tell them, even if it doesn't look great, even if they're at this place where they're like, I don't know if that's going to happen, then why wouldn't you still continue to push yourself in that fourth quarter? Like you said, it's not going to magically in January, like I'll just start in January. Well, then there's no momentum and there's nothing there that you've been working on and building up and ready to pounce on in January. It's like now you've stopped the momentum and now you have to get it started, and who knows how long that takes. So for me, it's like, let's see.
And I think it also speaks, Nikki, to like, and again, maybe this is too froofy of me, but it's what's the kind of person that I want to be? Am I going to sit there and go, well, you know what? It's not convenient. It's not the right time of year. I guess I didn't get my goal. Well, okay. So, well, what kind of an individual are you? How do you want to live? Again, I think a lot of these pieces to me are approaches to life. And that's why I love this business so much, because it gives you a framework and a structure to learn these things. All these things I just talked about, apply them to relationships, apply them to other things in your life. And it's the same formula. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's like, it's been proven for centuries. And but yet we can overcomplicate it. We can bring other things into this. And so if you think about what you just said, why would I quit? Because that's not who I am. Like, I've got to keep going, because I know then my goals reset, the qualification period resets next year, but my goals about what I'm trying to do with my life, that doesn't reset. That doesn't change. That doesn't change what I want to be or who I want to do. Right. I didn't say that right, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. Anyway. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
Got it. Wrote it down. Just kidding.
Right. Awesome.
No, I get it. I mean, I think controlling the controllable is something that we've woken up and I've tried to control so many things that are uncontrollable throughout all of 2020. And finally, it was like what I was saying in the comments, my husband, Boomer, was like, just stop. Like, stop doing that. And it's the same thing with our business. It's like, well, I really want this person to like continue to work their business the way that they were, or I really want this person to see their potential. And it's like, I can only do so much on my end. I can only show up for me and show up for my team and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. But again, I can't control them. I can only control me and the ones that want to run with me. And that's where I try to protect my energy and really, that was what I was saying as well, was like, I am not okay with people just complaining without a solution. It's got to be solution based, because then it's just so draining and all you're doing is sitting in negativity. So like, surround yourself with the energy that you want going into that final quarter, this last part of this month and the start of January or whatever. Like you said, and December 31st is not like a magical January 1st. Okay, everything's great now. So we just got to do what we can do now with what we have. So anyway, I love this. Thank you so much for kind of ending all of this vision board talk with a bang. We appreciate your time. I know you are so busy. So thank you.
I would rather do this than 70% of the stuff I do every day anyway. So this is great.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time. So, you guys that were on here tonight, if you did